how many tours have you hosted since you made this tiny house?
Probably about 40, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we started doing them in October of 2012. And maybe like, we were doing them actually once every 2 weeks, and then once every month, and they've generally been about at least once a month for the past 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a bit.
And how long have you been in this particular spot?
About a year and a half. I moved in August of 2015.
Of all the tours that you've done, are there any questions that, like, you wish people would ask, but they never have?
That's a good question. No one ever asked that question. I think, every once in a while there's like a question that just comes out of, left field that I'm kind of not, that I haven't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been interesting to see kind of over the course of the past like 3 or 4 years how, it used to be people asking more lifestyle questions. People would kind of comment that no one was actually looking to build a tiny house. They just wanted to like figure out, how can someone survive in that, in that space. And now it's a lot of technical questions. Now people are, people who come to these tours are really coming to the tour to learn how to build a tiny house.
Yeah, like I noticed that today, like when people are asking all the legal questions and what happens with the water.
Yeah. And so to a degree, I do kind of, I miss the lifestyle questions a little bit.
You said that you don't usually use a lot of light when it gets dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you do then? Do you just sleep? Do you read?
I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of cooking, and that's a lot of my life. So I often, especially when it's kind of daytime or when it's I have some solar, I'll just cook a bunch. I generally will jar all that and freeze that, and then I'll usually just read a bit. I used to have like a really large TV up in that corner, and I got rid of that, and I used to have internet in the house. I got rid of that, and so I've actually like tried to design the space to be more intentional. I might just kind of lie somewhere and like listen to a podcast for an hour. Just trying to keep it fairly low key.
Yeah, you seem you mentioned earlier that you're a minimalist, and this seems very minimal, I guess. Have you always been a minimalist, or is this just something that came about when you started building a tiny house?
I think I guess in short, I grew up. Growing up, my parents were divorced, and so I was kind of moving between houses, and then I was in foster care for most of my teenage years, and so I was used to moving around with few things and not really having a space of my own. And I think that sort of informed when I when I got a job and had my own apartment. I didn't have a lot of things to begin with, and I had started buying things, maybe to kind of fill the space, but it felt a little bit hollow, and like I didn't really get any enjoyment out of those things. So there was a small period of time where I had started accumulating, recognized that it wasn't actually anything that I was missing, and then started downsizing from there. So at no point in my life did I have a lot of stuff. At no point in my life was I really ever kind of hoarding, and I feel like it's become a much more intentional choice now, as opposed to one that wasn't necessarily all that empowering. But I don't think much has changed except for recognizing it as what it is.
Cool. And what do you think is your favorite part of having a tiny house?
I think, definitely the financial freedom. I think when I built the house, I thought this will provide a lot of financial savings, in the sense that, like, it wouldn't change my lifestyle. I would continue, working and, saving money. I'd just be saving a lot more money than I otherwise would. And I think it manifested instead in, kind of producing financial freedom where, because the house costs pretty much nothing to exist. Its own utilities, kind of, rent can be had for free pretty much anywhere. It made kind of working more of an option instead of a necessity, and so that financial freedom, I think, I love, and the fact that I can go travel, come back, and the house is still here, and I don't have to like start worrying about rent payments right away or utility bills or anything like that. And then I think, differently, but to the same degree, just the sort of opportunities that the house has presented. I thought. Socially, I thought that when I built the house that no one really ever cared about it, and I would just sort of go, live in my, small house, and and people would think that was weird, and that was kind of the end of it. And I was fine with that to some degree, but I think seeing, how much it excited people, and, we've given tours where we've had 300 people to tour, and especially kind of at the, old lot, we would have, every tour had hundreds of people at it, and it, it's kind of felt like, something more than just a living space, in the sense that, it's created this, I've to some degree, been kind of enveloped by this, larger movement, which I didn't expect, and that's been exciting, I think.